Hello everyone and welcome to a gush. I'm gonna have to say, I'm gonna call this video You Should Play Final Fantasy XIV, but stay with me because it might not be exactly what you expect to hear. I will obviously begin with the thing that you do expect to hear, which is obviously going to be the story. The main thing you hear about Final Fantasy XIV if you are not playing the game is the story, and for good reason. It is one of the best stories I believe I have ever experienced. However, you are going to hear people tell you that it is a brilliant story, and you are going to pick up the game, and you are going to be met with some very long and very boring quests. And you're going to hear, oh, it's great, they've pruned a bunch of the unnecessary quests in A Realm Reborn, so you can get to the good stuff faster. And you're going to be like, okay, but there's still so many quests which don't need to exist here. And you're going to get to level 50 and you're going to be like, great, now I can go on to the award-winning expansion Heavensward, right? And then you're going to be like, oh wait, not yet, I have to do a huge amount of questing to get to the point where I can begin that. There's a bunch of questing in between, and so you know you're gonna meet your first cutscene, your first big voiced cutscene, which is gonna be a flashback scene, and you're gonna be like, this has some very questionable voice acting, some very kind of boring writing. Well, not boring writing. What's happening in that cutscene is pretty interesting, but if you're anything like me, you are going to not realize you have fallen in love with the game until the fate of a character gets called into question or something, or you realize you can't play for a few days, and you'll be like, oh wait, hang on, I'm enjoying this, you know? It starts like a slow book, but then it gets great. And then you're probably going to get to Stormblood and fall off again, like I did. You're probably going to get to Stormblood and go, oh, this isn't that great, this isn't very interesting, this has taken a different turn in the story, and this is kind of basic. And then A Realm Reborn is going to happen again. You're going to be like, wait, shit, I do care, I am invested, and when you get to where I am in the game, you're going to look back on Stormblood with as much fondness as you do any other expansion, even though it had that kind of very slow burn. But that's the story, and that is what everyone wants to talk to you about. That is what everyone wants you to see. And by the way, anyone who's familiar with the game, I know I'm fishing inefficiently here. It's hard to multitask and keep track of all that. So what I'm doing right now is kind of what I want to talk to you about. You can see I'm fishing. Oh my god, I've been trying to get mooching opportunities so that I can do this quest. Again, I'm not using bait, I'm not using a bunch of these abilities. I'm doing this a lot slower than it needs to be done because I'm just vibing. I'm just having a chill time. And I'm level 69 fishing. This is a level 60 class quest. I'm just catching up on my class quests because I've been doing ocean fishing. And I've played this game for hundreds, if not thousands of hours, and I didn't know about ocean fishing, or at least how it worked. And that is the main thing I want to talk to you about today. You hear so much, damn it, you hear so much about the story of Final Fantasy XIV. What you do not hear is how good of a fucking game it is, how good of an MMO it is. Because the selling point of an MMO is that you get to live this second life in this fantasy world, right? And it shouldn't always be about the combat in that sense, right? But so many games, even though they have professions like World of Warcraft or whatever, you spend 95% of your time in that game killing stuff. I have been playing Final Fantasy XIV pretty consistently for about a week, and I don't think I've killed a single creature. I have just been fishing and crafting, and these are things which are a legitimately fun, fantastic time. Obviously, fishing inefficiently isn't gonna make this seem like the most fun, high octane time, but I promise I'm having a blast. And I've been, you know, I'm part of this amazing community, the Grinding Gear community, and I've been talking to them about a bunch of things which, like, again, I would not be surprised to find I've got over 1,000 hours in this game at this point. There are still so many things which I don't know the first thing about, like entire game systems, entire things that you can sink tens if not hundreds of hours into themselves. I don't know shit about Eureka, which is this optional zone where you kind of level in a Final Fantasy XI style, which is more about grinding mobs and fates and stuff, or world events I should say, and you can do that to get a type of weapon which I know nothing about, an artifact weapon or a Mandeville weapon or whatever they're called. I don't know much about that system. And then there's Bozja, which is similar, and I don't know anything about that system. I don't know anything about, people keep talking about these Hildebrand quest lines, I don't know anything about that, and there's just a long list of these things I know next to nothing about. And there is an even longer list of these things which I used to know nothing about, but have now sunk a decent amount of time into. Like, what's it like crafting and gathering in this game? Or what are deep dungeons like? You know, I still haven't actually done Heaven on High or anything like that, but I've done, I've got up to level 50 of the original deep dungeon, which I can't remember the name of right now. Palace of the Dead, that's the one. The amount of optional trial and raid quest series which have really interesting and fun lore is incredible. Like, every expansion has one normal raid series with 3 wings worth of 4 bosses, which you queue for independently. Each expansion has an alliance raid which has 3 wings of 4 bosses, except those are more like traditional LFR World of Warcraft raids, where you go through and kill the 4 bosses in half an hour to an hour's like segment. There are trials, optional trial series, which are just like these individual queued up 4 bosses, and they have their own quest lines and storylines, and it's all like, okay, let's actually try and get this damn fish. It's all a little bit more involved than you might expect, and some of this lore ties into stuff that doesn't get paid off for expansions later, but it does eventually get paid off, and you feel all the better for it, for having played the raids and known the lore. It tells all its story in-game in that way. And the other thing is, I'm sure you've heard about the job system, where you can just swap between any job on a single character. I would show that off right now, but I am fishing. But yeah, you can see them all down here. And I've got my level 90 Dragoon, level 90 Reaper, my level 90 Red Mage. In fact, I can bring up my classes and jobs list. This is where I'm at. And so the idea is, in this game, instead of creating alts and creating new... Oh shit, I should have mooched! What was that? Oh, I'm good at multitasking. The idea is, instead of creating new characters, you do everything on one character. You can still create new characters, but the game isn't really built to accommodate that in the way other MMOs are. So this is my progress so far. And again, I've sunk hundreds, if not 1,000 hours into this game. And there is still so much to do. These quests all have... Again, if you come from WoW, think of World of Warcraft Legion. They're class quests. They all have class quests every 5 levels up until level 50, and then it's a little bit more sparse after that, but they continue. And so they have their own character in that kind of a way, like their own lore. And so I want to do all of that. There's reputations. Don't even get me started on reputations in this game. Reputations in this game are good to help you level your alternate jobs, and they are also full of story and lore, which in itself is... Like, the reason I've even got the Kojin to Bloodsworn is because I was in... This isn't mooch we want, but whatever. Is because I was enjoying the storyline, and I was enjoying the quests, and I got some really fun glamour out of that, or transmog if you come from World of Warcraft or another MMO. And I got a mount out of that, of course. I can show you the mount I got. I got this... Oh, I guess I can't show it to you, but I got this this manta ray flying mount, which is pretty damn cool. I can mooch again. Didn't we just mooch? Is this a triple mooch? That's rare. It's very rare to get a triple mooch. That's not what we're trying to do here. I'm definitely doing this quest wrong, but it's too late now. I've started talking, and I'm not going to stop. And yes, so the reputations are brilliant. They're not always combat-based reputations. You have crafting or gathering-based reputations, if that's more your speed. I want to jump in editing here real quick as well, just because while I don't mention every system in this video, I do not want to forget to talk about custom deliveries, which is a little bit similar to reputations, but it's different, and it is specifically for crafting and gathering. And it is this system where you go and you help a person do a particular thing by every week, either making them things or gathering things for them, and they give you rewards. And it really is just like another little mini reputation system, but the storylines are especially good for those ones, and it's a lot less about the rewards and a lot more about just the storylines, and it's just a delightful thing. And I've never seen another MMO, have an incentive to pursue crafting or gathering in a single player kind of a sense. It's always just to try and make money, or to try and help your raid out, or to try and make better gear for yourself at a particular time. It's never been for story reasons, and the way this game does that is phenomenal. It's not just for story, they also give you currency which allows you to buy things to help you get better gear for your crafting and gathering jobs and that kind of thing, but in my opinion it is primarily about story. And there is just so much content. There's so much goddamn content. Even the job system isn't exactly what you would expect it to be all the time. If I go back to character, I should just press C like a normal human being. Blue Mage is something called a limited job, which is a little bit different. It's not based around the normal stuff you'd expect out of a class. It's more single player collecting spells from mobs. I don't actually know a huge amount about Blue Mage because I only got it to level 8 and then I got scared, intimidated, confused and stopped. But yeah, I just wanted to make this very rambly video very quickly to kind of get the message out. I mean, I know the message is already out there, but get the message out there for people who don't know. Final Fantasy XIV isn't just about its incredible story. It is about so much more. Like, the gameplay. What brought this on is I just listened to a podcast where this World of Warcraft streamer who has played Final Fantasy XIV was talking, and they were kind of comparing the two games, and they were talking about them, and he didn't say anything that frustrated me. But the way he talked about the game very much seemed to come from the perspective of, the story is really good, and all he did was compare the story to World of Warcraft. And I thought, you need to, and he was talking about the way he plays this MMO is, he likes to play through the story in chunks. I just thought, I don't think you've done anything else in this game. And he thought it wasn't very combat oriented, because if you've only played MSQ, you wouldn't think it's very combat oriented, because so much of the MSQ is about talking to people instead of going and killing 8 goblins and coming back with items to hand in. There's a bit of that, but there's not a whole lot of it, whereas the combat side of things is there for you if you want it, with the raids and stuff. And it's something that I think a lot of people maybe overlook. They come, they play the MSQ and they leave, and I wish that they would, stay a while and fish. Preferably more efficiently than I'm currently doing. But that's it. Thank you for listening to my ramble. This wasn't a real talk, if you remember my real talk series, where I would fish and I would talk about life. I only ever made one of those videos. I do still kind of intend to make more, but yeah. I would rather have made this video as like a big thing with B-roll showing off the various gameplay elements I'm talking about and music and stuff, but I am limited on time, so this is what you got. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in whatever I make next.